story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello everyone, this is CoreTV Primetime News with Nifemi Oguntoye. In our major story, vote counting begins as Osun governorship election comes to an end. Also with this program, reservations over heavy military presence as observers, analysts commend INEC's conduct of Osun governorship election. Almojiris in Nasarawa return to the streets as persons displaced by Wukari clashes in Taraba State take over their school. And outside Nigeria, United States President Barack Obama vows to continue attacks on militants in Iraq in order to protect American interests. We'll begin tonight in Osun, where collation of results at polling centers have commenced in most polling centers across the state amidst tight security. Police and Nigeria Security and Civil Corps personnel, as well as party supporters and agents, witnessed the exercise. Voters were still voting in some few polling units as at 4 p.m. when several others had commenced collating their results. At Ward 4, Unit 5 and Ward 5, Unit 11 in Jolayemi area of the capital and at Tauja Palace in Osogbo, voting ended at about 3:12 p.m. and collation of results commenced immediately. CoreTV News learned that hundreds of party supporters exploded in jubilation at various centers where some results were announced by presiding officers. The exercise started early in many polling units in Elisha East and Elisha West. Counting of votes started in some of the polling units at about 3 p.m. At Unit 8, Ilora Roye, counting of votes started at about 3 p.m., while counting at Unit 3, Ogoidio, started at about 3:15 p.m. The counting votes also commenced at Unit 2 Customary Court at about 3:33 p.m. There were also reports that the process of accreditation and voting was peaceful in all the polling units visited. An observer from Clean Foundation says the election went well and commended INEC for its peaceful conduct. The people of Osun
Nivea
State
Nourishing
make
Body
good
Lotion.
promise to
Its
keep
effective
out
formula with
unrest
Hydra
before
IQ
the
gives your
candidate
skin
of their choice. The massive deployment of military men did not discourage a large turnout of voters from polling units. Abiola Oluwole monitors the poll in Olaoluwa and Iwo local government areas of the state. His report is now presented from our studios.
Osun is a state with 30 local government and over 900,000 registered voters determined to cast their ballot for the candidate of their choice. Voters thronged the respective polling units as early as 7 a.m. for accreditation. The Labour Party candidate in the election, Fatai Akimbade, voted at St. James Primary School, polling unit 1. He expressed his satisfaction about the conduct of the election.
Election is either you win or lose. Whatever the outcome of the election, certainly we are going to abide by it, because I believe there will not be any disruption anywhere. If everything goes the way it's going on here, then why not accepting it?
Sunday Fajimi, the Alliance for Democracy, AD candidate who voted at Kajola Market in Iwo local government area, decries the alleged financial inducement of voters by some party.
I want to put the record straight. I'm going to challenge the statement credited to Jega in the Punch newspaper that inducement of voters is allowed. And I put the question to him at the stakeholders forum, but he never answered the question. So we need to establish, we need to go to court and confirm whether anybody can induce people. The second thing is, if you look at electoral law states that you cannot spend more than 200 million. I will ask the guy to go and write down the number of posters and billboards of the other contestants.
With the peaceful conduct of the polls, the people of Osun State are anxiously waiting for INEC to declare who governs them for the next 4 years.
The election process in the entire Ife could be described as peaceful. Both accreditation and voting exercises witnessed large turnout of crowd who came out early to exercise their franchise. Frank Molabe reports from Ife.
As early as 7:30 in the morning, voters thronged various polling stations for accreditation, and soon the INEC officials would set you down to begin the process. Aside the slow nature of the exercise that was recorded according to this party agent, there were challenges of missing names from the master list.
Well, it has been slow. I expect that the progression should have been better than this. And it's about 2 hours. It's already 2 hours since I've been here now, and I don't think I'm anywhere close to being accredited.
All efforts to get INEC officials to clarify developments surrounding the missing names of some voters on the master list did not yield the desired fruits. Ward 10 St. Gabriel unit earlier had one of the top contenders in Yola Mishori for accreditation. According to the PDP governorship candidate, the APC member who attempts foul play was arrested. Some of the voters expressed satisfaction with the peaceful conduct of the election. The Ife experience was one amongst others around the state that will determine who rules the state for the next 4 years. Frank Omalape, CoreTV News, Ife.
Meanwhile, there was palpable tension across the 30 local government areas of Osun State as the people decide who leads them beyond 2014. The incumbent governor Rauf Aregbesola, alongside 19 other candidates, tested their popularity in the Osun State governorship poll. Earlier in the day, immediately after casting his vote, the governor told journalists in his Elisha country home that if the process is smooth as experienced in his ward, then INEC will have done an acceptable job. However, he expressed deep concerns over reports that his supporters were being harassed at polling stations by security agents.
Yes, my experience here in this particular voting precinct is wonderful. You have a large pool of security men who are here, and one will say they've controlled themselves very, very well. And you have enthusiastic electorate who demonstrated passion and interest in democracy. But the question to ask is what we witness here going to be replicated statewide? Is a huge question that only INEC and the security operatives can answer. My wish is that even at the aspect of just voting, we can have the orderliness that we have witnessed there around the state from now till the end of it. Because we are hearing that some people are planning to still terrorize voters towards the end of this exercise. I pray that our security agencies will live up to their billings. They have not demonstrated enough impartiality anyway to date. After all, only the leading members and supporters of my party have been at the receiving end of their molestation, harassment, and terrorization. Terrorism. No reason. There is no reason. I'm sure the authorities in Abuja are just simply abusing their power. And that power is not established in our constitution. As a matter of fact, if there's anyone that can order security operatives around in this state, I am the chief security officer. What we are seeing here, either in terms of deployment and abuse of security agencies, are flagrant violation of the Nigerian constitution.
The All Progressives Congress has raised the alarm over the mass arrest and intimidation of its members in Osun over the state's governorship election. The party says over 250 of its members were arrested in the state. The party, in a statement issued in Osogbo by its publicity secretary, Lai Mohammed, says it is constrained to alert Nigerians and the international community that what is going on in Osun was not an election but a coup against democracy. APC says the magnitude of arrests, the viciousness of the operation, and the widespread intimidation of its members have confirmed the party's fears, which were expressed in several press statements ahead of the election. The party added that President Goodluck Jonathan, in an unparalleled desecration of national institutions, has simply turned the men and women in uniform against the people, as the entire security outfits now owe their allegiance to him rather than the nation. Meanwhile, a former governor of Osun State, Isiaka Adeleke, who is in the All Progressives Congress, has alleged intimidation from the opposition party, the PDP. Adeleke, who spoke after his accreditation in Ede on Saturday, described the electoral process as peaceful, but decries the incidents leading up to the poll. Some police officers, SSS men and soldiers, according to him, came to his mother's house where he stayed till around 1 a.m. on election day, banging the gate. He added that he saw one of those that came, a PDP member, pointing at the house, but they were repelled by his security forces. He alleged that the State Attorney General and the Commissioner for Agriculture were arrested. The battle for the soul of Ede is expected to be keenly fought between Adeleke and the PDP deputy governorship candidate Rafiu Bello, who is also from the town. Nigeria's military authorities, however, say any attempt to impersonate soldiers on election duty in Osun State would be detected. This is in reaction to claims that fake soldiers may be used to truncate the electoral wishes of the people. The military say via its Twitter account that troops posted to the state have special tags that cannot be duplicated. It added that soldiers have been directed to deal with any case of suspicious dressing or impersonation of troops in Osun State. Political observers have poured encomiums on INEC's organized conduct of the governorship election in Osun State. They expressed confidence in the ability of the electoral body to conduct credible elections in the future, especially the 2015 general elections. Omotayo Alo has more.
Of the 2007 general election prompted the Nigerian government to set up an electoral review commission, which gave birth to the current Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Since coming on board, the commission has continued to adopt different strategies to nip electoral manipulations in the bud. Although controversies and legal actions trail some of the elections conducted recently, many believe INEC has the ability to conduct credible elections. Speaking on free and fair election, lecturer at the Political Science Department of the University of Lagos, Kayode Ishwola, says INEC has a pedigree of being fair in the conduct of elections.
From the inception of the Jega INEC till now, it's been better by the day. Don't forget, democracy is a culture. You don't evolve culture one day. It has to build over the days, over the years. So, in summary, from what has been displayed so far, the character and composition of INEC, I think we have hope that we have a good body that can conduct election anytime, anywhere.
As Osun citizens exercise the civic responsibility of voting a governor, political experts Fred Agbaje and Kayode Ishwola explain that politicians eat up the polity by their actions and statements, thus calling for the presence of heavy security during elections.
It's the politician that created that venue. If the campaign had been going on smoothly, without brickbat, without threat to life and property, the federal government will not have woken up from slumber. The same federal government that cannot tackle Boko Haram begin to deploy all the troops in Nigeria to Osun, as if the Osun people are that lawless. The Osun people are enlightened people. It's the politicians that have created this problem, this setback.
Need a very strong civil society, because the civil society is supposed to set agenda for the citizens of a country. You know, the civil society must be very strong and proactive. We need such civil society that will not wait until crisis occur before they start educating people and mobilizing for them for it. As we have it now, we don't have civil society in Nigeria. What we have can be best described as a group of people who are trying to use the name civil society to achieve selfish political aim.
Anxiety fills the air as the incumbent governor of Osun State, Ralph Aregbesola, and 19 other candidates goes to the polls to test their popularity. The hope is that wherever the pendulum swings, the people of Osun should continue to reap the dividends of democracy. Omotayo Alo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Our Marjories in Nasarawa back on the streets. Find out how they were displaced from school shortly after this time out. Don't go away.
Nivea Nourishing Body Lotion. Its effective formula with Hydro IQ gives your skin deep and long-lasting nourishment for skin that stays moisturized all day long. Look great, feel great, with deeply nourished skin. Nourishing Body Lotion from Nivea.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Welcome back. The Amajiri School in Lafia, Nasarawa State is now occupied by people displaced by recent clashes in Wukari, Taraba State. These has forced the street kids back on the streets in search of survival. They, however, end up with nothing most of the times. Pasaba now reports on the Amajiris of Lafia.
These children are in Lafia all the way from some communities in Katsina State. They have traveled thousands of kilometers, supposedly in search of knowledge. But they are on the streets, hanging around restaurants to pick the leftovers of customers' meals. Looking so sick, this 9-year-old boy says he has not eaten for hours. He says his parents brought him from Katsina, but he hasn't seen them in the last 4 months. The only thing he knows is the Quranic education, and that is why his parents brought him to Lafia.
I have spent 4 months in Almajiri school. My parents brought me here to study. I was not brought here to study Western education. We get food sometime when we go out, and we reserve some with our teachers.
In spite of fending for themselves, they are still clearly kids. With toy guns in their hands, they play cops and robbers. But on Thursdays and Fridays, these boys leave the local Almajiri school to go in search for food and money. Most times, they get little or nothing to fall back on.
When we go out, we get money. We keep some and use some. If anyone is sick among us, we use the money to get drugs. We don't go out every day. We go to
our teacher's farm and help him to work. We don't attend the school built by the government because we were brought here to attend the local Almajiri school.
The locals here are not happy with the Almajiri situation. They say Boko Haram elements could easily take advantage of the boys.
The issue of Almajiri, when we are talking about Almajiri in Islam, Islam does not encourage Almajiri at all. Almajiri has no place in Islam. Islam encourages every person to wake up, work hard, earn your living. It is not ideal for you to get back to children and you scatter them in the street with the name of begging. Islam does not encourage that.
We are not encouraging Almajiri group. This is the sources of Boko Haram initiate. We are not welcoming Almajiri. It's not an Islamic culture. It's not an Islamic foundation. Anybody promoting Almajiri sector is not an Islamic sector.
Oh, Almajiri, this is something of Almajiri. Leaving those children walking about is not in the best interest of Islamic. Because moving around will cause so many problems. People have started to use them. That is what is causing the problem. They are one of the key suspects in this Boko Haram something. People say they are using Almajiri and they are condemning Almajiri. Why? Because people use them.
Only recently, the federal government established a school for Almajiris in several states, including Nasarawa. This is the school, but it is now home to internally displaced persons from Taraba State. So, for now, these children will continue to be on the streets until something is done by the relevant authorities.
These children have to go out every day in search of their daily bread. For this 9-year-old, he has not eaten anything since morning. As you can see, his plate is totally empty. And for him, the future doesn't really hold much. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Lafia.
Quite touching the story, Pius. Away from that, authorities in Nigeria's megacity Lagos appealed for volunteers to help fight an outbreak of the deadly Ebola virus after admitting they lacked medical personnel. Lagos, home to about 20 million people, has recorded 9 confirmed cases of Ebola, including 2 deaths. In its fight against the spread of the virus, the Lagos state government is offering incentives such as life insurance to medical volunteers. The nation's doctors suspended their work to rule action on Thursday, but it was unclear whether they had resumed work across the country. Lagosians have, however, been speaking on the development.
I leave Maiduguri because of Boko Haram. I come Lagos, but now they say it's better you dead in Boko Haram than the Ebola because the sickness is very bad. Yesterday, when I hear about he killed someone in VI and Miriokola, even I'm very shocked. Now I'm not shaking with even my friends. When they bring hand to shake, I'm not shaking with them. I'm scared of the sickness for Ebola virus. I think they are doing enough. The only thing we are praying to President of United States to help us to bring the solution for the virus, like to bring the drugs that can make everybody to use to for the disease, for the Ebola virus.
We beg God, the President, so that made them find solution to do for us, for the problem we have, so that made them find the sickness, so that people cannot die whether just make people know they die, so that make everybody they even know they scared. Even to shake service problem.
Technology is still there back, but America, they go far. Maybe when I have the Ministry of the Sickness, when I will help us. So we pray, make good luck, Jonathan, take action about the sickness, because we will be poor people. But them, they can try their own action anyhow.
Meanwhile, Minister of Health Oyebuchi Chukwu has urged Nigerians to take personal hygiene very seriously and adhere to what they call preventive instructions at preventing the deadly Ebola virus. The minister gave this advice during his visit to the isolation center built for Ebola patients in Lagos.
Determined to curb the deadly Ebola virus, the federal government has embarked on a massive campaign to sensitize the people on how to prevent the spread of the virus. The government also in collaborating with state governments across the Federation in ensuring that all have a means of detecting and treating the scourge. The Lagos State Governor, Babatunde Fashola, visited the newly built Ebola Isolation Center in company of the Minister of Health, Onyebuchi Chukwu. The minister called on the public to take personal hygiene routines seriously.
If you have fever, go to a proper doctor, go to a facility, they'll take your history. If you have had contact with anybody who has been confirmed Ebola, then you must submit yourself to us. So I'll place you under surveillance. It's for your own good. It's for the good of your family. It's for the good of your friends, your colleagues at work, your customers in your business.
As the Ebola scourge continues to ravage countries in West Africa, it is hoped that the Nigerian government's efforts in preventing the spread of the disease yield dividends.
The ECOWAS Commission has, in collaboration with the relevant health authorities, disinfected its Lagos liaison office as part of precautionary measures to stem the spread of the deadly Ebola virus. The Commission said in a statement that a team was dispatched to work with health officials to carry out the fumigation on Thursday. ECOWAS Commission took that step in the aftermath of the contact the late Patrick Sawyer made with protocol officers from its Lagos office. It has also set up a task force to respond to concerns that staff might have and to also update them on measures at preventing and tackling the deadly virus. Meanwhile, Zambia has banned the entry of citizens from countries hit by the deadly Ebola virus, which is ravaging nations to the north of the continent. The country's health ministry targets citizens of Liberia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone and Guinea. Even delegates to conferences already organized in Zambia would be barred, according to Health Minister Joseph Kasonde in a statement on the ministry's website. The statement added that Zambians returning from travel to Ebola-affected nations would be thoroughly screened and quarantined if they were seen to be at risk of carrying the virus. World Health Organization Chief Margaret Chan said in Geneva that the epidemic in West Africa, which has killed nearly 1,000 people in Guinea, Liberia, Sierra Leone and Nigeria, is the worst of its kind in 4 decades. Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola has urged the students of the Lagos State University to embrace peace and seek amicable resolution to all challenges facing the institution. He made the call when student union leaders in the university paid him a thank-you visit for the reversal of the skyrocketing school fees. Omotayo Alo was there.
For a decision that came as a miracle, the students of the Lagos State University could not hide their profound gratitude on what the governor did to ease their burden of having to pay a school fees that many of them cannot afford. After composing a series of songs of praise for the governor, the students say they are indeed grateful and thank the governor for his compassionate consideration. In response, Fashola urged the students to always take to peaceful dialogue rather than destruction of government properties whenever there is an issue to iron out.
My appeal to you is to choose always the path of dialogue and resolution and negotiation. Even the nations that used to go to war at the slightest provocation are seeing that war is expensive.
The governor also advised the students to obey constituted authorities and do well to make the best of the academic year.
You don't have to like all your lecturers, but you have to work with them. You have to listen to them. You have to express your disagreement politely. And they have an obligation also to listen to you.
As the students of LASU get settled for a fresh start in school with a reduced fee, it is the hope of the university body that the session would run smoothly without any interruption. Omotayo Alo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
A big congratulations to LASU students. We'll take another break and return shortly with business, sports and stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Nigerians continue to
Tonight, the city of Lagos waits at the dark as all routes
to you on
Be the first to know.
on CoreTV News.
From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa, we break the news.
We are one Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are CoreTV News.
Welcome to CoreTV,
a 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you join us on another edition of The Political Arena, the most detailed and incisive political show.
If you are a sitting governor and the opposition is able to stomach structure against you, that means you are wicked to the people.
They gave me 20 minutes to move or they will shoot me.
He has no chance for survival. If he likes himself, this is the best time to get out before it perishes.
The PDP as a ruling party has failed.
So anybody who thinks that government will fold his hands and allow miscreants to take over the streets of Osun State and cause havoc is deceiving himself.
The good, bad, ugly, and beautiful sides of the Nigerian political system. Join me every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. on CoreTV News.
Welcome back. And now business. Mexico Congress has voted to implement an historic reform which reopens the state-controlled oil and gas sector to foreign firms. Major oil companies are now gearing to invest in the country's energy sector. The report.
It was a long-awaited comeback. Foreign firms are preparing to return to Mexico oil sector 76 years after they were kicked out of the country. The monopoly held by the state-run energy giant Pemex has ended thanks to an energy reform voted recently by Congress. President Enrique Pena Nieto is to sign a legislation, the centerpiece of his effort to reform Latin America's second biggest economy.
The president's goal is for Mexico to become an energy power, and we are giving ourselves the tools through those laws to make it happen.
The reform will allow foreign companies to sign profit-sharing contracts with Mexico and drill for oil and natural gas as soon as next year. Major oil companies like U.S. giant ExxonMobil and British BP are already lining up to enter the Mexican market, but they're doing so with caution, waiting to see the first contract details.
It's obvious that the big international companies have interest in coming here, but these firms also have expectations. They want to see more. They want to see these projects.
But opening the door to foreign investment doesn't please everyone. Opponents fear the legislation is the first step to Pemex privatization and will cut Mexico's budget, a third of which comes from the firm.
This fiscal framework is really generous, and it seems to me that we are giving too much to foreign firms, and so we are risking the Mexican oil income.
But for many, steps are needed to address Pemex's various problems: inefficient management, corruption, and most of all, a drop in production from 3.4 million barrels a day in 2004 to 2.5 million a day. The giant also lacks technology and financial means to access the deep water reserves.
Yes, I think the market needed this reform, especially to raise the competitiveness of oil companies and refineries. We have production lines that are not competitive.
The reform has led to a number of protests across the country, as many Mexicans fear Pemex, seen as one of their crown jewels, will be taken away. Energy workers, backed by the left wing, have promised to keep on fighting the law.
And in sports tonight, Lesotho has raised concerns with the Confederation of African Football over the outbreak of the deadly Ebola virus in Nigeria ahead of the 2015 African Youth Championship qualifier. Lesotho will battle its Nigeria under-20 counterparts on August 16 in the northern Nigeria town of Kaduna for a place in the 2015 African Youth Championship in Senegal next March. However, the Nigeria Football Federation NFF have replied CAF, assuring Lesotho of their safety in the country. NFF has assured that the federal government is very much on top of the handful of Ebola cases in Lagos, and as such, Lesotho should not panic. Arsene Wenger is set to hand Mikel Arteta the Arsenal club captaincy following the decision to sell Thomas Vermaelen to Barcelona. Although Per Mertesacker also features highly in Wenger's thoughts, it's understood the German will be promoted to vice-captain as Arsenal face Besiktas in a tricky Champions League group stage playoff. Outside Nigeria now, Barack Obama vowed to continue airstrikes against militants in Iraq if needed to protect U.S. diplomats and military advisors. Speaking in his weekly address, Obama says that he had authorized the strikes in Iraq to protect U.S. personnel serving in the northern city of Erbil. Obama says he had also authorized a humanitarian effort to help displaced citizens trapped by Islamic State extremists on Mount Sinjar in northern Iraq. The United States has a strategic interest in halting the militants' advances, but Obama stressed that it would not serve as the air force of Iraqi Shiites or any other faction.
On the city and to protect our American diplomats and military personnel. So far, these strikes have successfully destroyed arms and equipment that ISIL terrorists could have used against Erbil. Meanwhile, Kurdish forces on the ground continue to defend the city, and the United States and the Iraqi government have stepped up our military assistance to Kurdish forces as they wage their fight. The humanitarian effort continues to help the men, women, and children stranded on Mount Sinjar. American forces have so far conducted 2 successful airdrops, delivering thousands of meals and gallons of water to these desperate men, women, and children. And American aircraft are positioned to strike ISIL terrorists around the mountain to help forces in Iraq break the siege and rescue those who are trapped there. Prime Minister Cameron of the United Kingdom and President Hollande of France, I'm pleased that both leaders expressed their strong support for our actions and have agreed to join us in providing humanitarian assistance to Iraqi civilians who are suffering so much. Ultimately, only Iraqis can ensure the security and stability of Iraq. The United States can't do it for them, but we can and will be partners in that effort.
Israeli warplanes carried out 30 airstrikes over Gaza on Saturday, killing 5 Palestinians as militants fired 6 rockets into Israel, leaving international mediators scrambling to rescue ceasefire talks. Gaza Emergency Services says 2 men were killed in a strike on a motorcycle in Al-Maghazi camp, and that the bodies of 3 others were pulled from the rubble of the Al-Qassam Mosque in the Nusayrat camp in the middle of the enclave. The Palestinian Interior Ministry said Israeli jets destroyed 3 mosques, the one in Nusayrat, one in the Ziltan town, and one in Jabaliyah in the north. At least 2 of the mosques were considered close to Hamas. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry kicked off a Southeast Asian diplomatic talks, praising efforts to bring Washington's relationship with Vietnam to its full blossom. Kerry met his Vietnamese counterpart Pham Binh Minh in the Myanmar capital, Nha Pinh, in the first of a series of discussions with Asian nations as the U.S. looks to reinvigorate alliance in the Asia-Pacific region. Now, the top U.S. diplomat who fought in the Vietnam War hailed progress in the partnership between the 2 nations in comment ahead of the meeting.
The challenges ahead, I want the people of Myanmar to know that they have the support and the friendship of the United States. The United States and ASEAN have a common responsibility to ensure the maritime security of critical global sea lanes and ports. We need to work together to manage tensions in the South China Sea and to manage them peacefully. No understatement that what happens here matters not just to this region and to the United States, but it matters to everybody in the world to see a Southeast Asia that continues to grow based on rules-based international law. That's why we're encouraging claimant states to consider voluntarily agreeing to refrain from taking certain actions, which in the words of the 2002 Declaration of Conduct, quote, would complicate or escalate disputes.
And now to end the news tonight, here again is a recap of our top stories. Vote counting has begun as Osun governorship election comes to an end. We also told you there were reservations over a heavy military presence as observers analysts commend INEC's conduct of Osun governorship election. And that's been the show tonight. On behalf of the news crew, I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.